How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Mail and Hobby Talk. Before we jump in today, I did want to let you know that if you want to skip directly to the mail portion, I'm now putting a timestamp in these videos. You can look down in the description, or I'll put in the comments as well. And you can skip directly there, because I know some of you probably don't care about my Hobby Talk section of it. It's a lot of hobby gossip, more or less. And I completely understand if you want to skip over that and just jump straight to the cards. So I figured I'd point that out, and I'm going to go back and do that for my old Hobby Talk videos as well. Before we get kind of started into our topics today, I wanted to bring up something that I feel is important. And that's a lot of the hobby content, as Wax Museum Podcast is pointing out here in his Instagram channel, is done without a lot of incubation. What he means by that, people are seeing a lot of these stories come out, and they're immediately jumping on them without much research on their own. They're sharing memes that may contain like false or accusatory information in those memes, and without doing any prior research or thought into it, they're spreading a lot of things that aren't great, okay? And I talk about this stuff, and I've been guilty of it as well. I'm kind of more a proponent of questioning, I guess, the high-end sales for the past 2 to 3 years, questioning the guys that are telling us everything's going up, now it's going down. I think there's a little bit of a backlash going on right now where people are really gravitating towards that content, which is actually good to see, okay? I'm not saying it's bad, because a lot of the stuff that we're seeing now is actually needs to be discussed. A lot of the scams, a lot of the guys that were telling us, hey, these cards are great investments for the past 2 years, and now we're seeing all this stuff decline. It's great that it's being focused on now. It's just, got to be careful. You got to realize that sometimes the things that are posted aren't entirely accurate, aren't entirely true. Go do your own research, okay? Before you jump on the bandwagon. And especially if you're going to be accusing somebody, you know, of doing something that we don't have definite proof that they did. Just be careful. That's all I'm really saying here. Now, next topic here, we'll zoom in on this a little bit, is probably something you guys have seen. It's been going around social media. A lot of us has commented on it. A lot of us has seen videos that have already been released on this. I went ahead and put up a post on Blowout on Sunday after I saw this was happening. This is the PPP loans scandal. Not necessarily scandal, I guess, but just what had happened is an Instagram poster, South Park Cards, had figured out that a lot of the bigger companies out there in sports cards had taken out PPP loans. What a PPP loan is, if you're not familiar with it, it was basically a way for the government to give out loans to companies during the pandemic that maybe were going to have a problem paying their employees, maybe were going to be hurt due to the pandemic because their business was, you know, relying on some aspect that they couldn't provide during the pandemic when everybody was shut down. So essentially what South Park Cards found was that a bunch of these companies had actually taken out these loans, and what it appears to be is that they were mostly forgiven. So we all know that the card boom happened, and all these companies, or most of them at least, were making record profits. I mean, people flocked to cards during the pandemic, right? The question that was posed was, you know, is this right? Should they have been taking this money out and then essentially being forgiven to be able to pay this back? Well, here's the answer, in my opinion, is that the government screwed this up. It was given out, and I think a lot of companies sat here and said, hey, you know what if I am affected by this? Let's go ahead and take out the loan and see what happens, right? Because they didn't know. There's a lot of uncertainty that was going on during those initial few months of the pandemic, right? So I don't necessarily blame any of these companies for doing this. I think the program itself was flawed from the beginning, so most of the blame, in my opinion, lies on the government, okay? Let's just get that straight there. But here's the thing, guys, is if you're making record profits, but you're taking out these huge loans, I don't know, you know, maybe you should be paying those back, or at least, I don't know. There's something to say there, right? So what I did basically is I started this thread to get others' opinions. I just wanted to get alternate views on this whole thing that went down. So I would say I'm gonna put a link to this thread. Go check it out. Blowout gets a lot of flack. This does turn a little bit political in the last couple pages. I'd say if you read the first 2 to 3 pages, you're going to get a kind of a good feel. There's some stuff that goes on Blowout that I know it's got a bad reputation over the years, but there's a lot of smart guys there. Some guys just like to stir up controversy. Some guys like to talk political, just the way it is. I mean, the same thing on social media. That stuff happens, but I think if you really want to dive into it, go check out this thread. It's real easy to see a meme posted on social media and just immediately assume that that's, what's happening. You take it at face value. It's 3 sentences. Dive a little bit deeper into this stuff. A lot of this, in my opinion, was caused by the fact that, you had these guys going out there telling us that these cards are going to be these great investments. They're going to be making everybody all this money. Now we're seeing the backlash of that because, hey, a lot of people lost money. It's just a fact. If you didn't, if I didn't, that's a few of us in the overall grand scheme of things. A lot of the people that did lost the money are gone. They're not even collecting cards anymore. So I think people are quick to jump on this stuff, but let's just be a little bit cautious. I'm not going to go over that in too much more detail. I think that thread really goes over it in pretty good detail, and you can also post your own questions there. Join Blowout. I mean, it's a great community. It really is. I'm hoping that once we can get back to posting pictures of cards there, having awesome discussions that we used to have years ago on there about sets and things like of that nature, which still exists and it still happens. It's happening more now than I've seen it in the last 2 years, but this stuff's going to come up, and I think that's a good place to discuss it instead of just getting all your news from a meme or an angry YouTube rant or something. Next topic here, shill betting. Lamine James over on Instagram has a couple good examples here on cards that were definitely shilled, and this is going to be the case, guys. You got to look out for this if you're buying cards on eBay. Now, not all cards are shilled, and stuff's coming down and there's great deals on there, but just be careful, because here's what happens in a down market is that people paid a lot of money for this stuff. They're trying to get a good return. They're going to shill up these prices. If you're not familiar with shilling, it's basically they'll list the card in either another account of theirs, or maybe their buddies go in there and place bids on them that they're never intending to keep, right? They're just trying to increase the price. So here's another example here. I believe Lamine James is a big Trae Young collector, so he follows this stuff. You can see kind of here these these private bids here, and they're from the same 2 people, and they're doing it days and days before the end of it. Be wary of stuff like that. Here's one that was relisted a bunch of times. You see the same card you lost out of, and you see it relisted 2, 3, 4 times, etc. Be wary of that card. It's probably going to be shilled the next time. So, look out for yourself. Look out for others. Tell people about this kind of behavior, because it's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen. I'm going to say for the next year or two, as people try to unload stuff that they just overpaid for. The bottom line. Good little tidbit of info here from Wax Museum Podcast. This is over on his Instagram. He did post in the Blowout forums as well. This card, it's a LeBron James limited logos. Not sure what year it was, but this is actually a fake patch, proven fake, and PWCC is selling it. And although it isn't an altered BGS slab, they actually, in their description, I'm taking a little screenshot of it here, tell us that this is a stunning 3-color stitched logo patch. And go on to say that could make even the savviest front office mortgage the farm just to acquire it. Really? They're going to mortgage the farm to acquire a fake patch? Come on. So although they do have it in an altered slab, and I think make some mention that is altered, it just seems deceptive to me. So this is in the upcoming PWCC auction. Be wary of it. And thanks to Kyle for pointing this kind of stuff out. He does a lot of research on patches. He actually has a bunch of trackers, especially on Blowout, that we're keeping track of higher end cards where, maybe the patch is a little weaker and somebody wanted to do a little swap out and make a little more money, right? Here's an interesting one I saw on Instagram about Colora Blast from Card Channel. And so he did a little calculation to see the print run of Colora Blast. And I think this is the What is the card that he shows? 2020. Now, I don't know. I don't remember if this is like 2020 that he went off of or just every year, but he calculated 75 total Color Blast. So that's interesting. I'm not like, you know, a big collector of the Color Blast. I think they're okay, but I know a lot of people pay a lot of money for that. So just a little tidbit in case you were thinking there was a lower print run or something and thought you needed to pay more money. They appear to be out of 75. Don't take my word on that because I didn't do the calculation myself. Go check out his video on this. I think he's doing some other calculations as well on other sets and print runs. A lot of guys used to do this on Blowout. I haven't seen it more recently, but it's kind of nice to know unnumbered print runs and stuff just so you can kind of assess the rarity of some of this stuff and maybe not overpay or just know what the print run was. So yeah, definitely check that video out. I want to show you a couple videos here on YouTube that you should definitely be checking out. John Mangini, talked about him before. This is a video from a couple days ago, but I thought this one was really fun. He does a lot of videos where he'll just look at some cards with you, tell you the backstories on those cards, given the set, given the player, just goes into detail. He's very knowledgeable. A lot of the baseball stuff, like I'm not super familiar with. He collects a lot of baseball cards. I always find it interesting to see where some of this stuff originated from or backstories on the players. It's really quite fun. Another video to definitely check out is this one from Wax Museum Podcast. Really like this one, Kyle, where he's going over his LeBron James card collection. He's got some really cool stuff in there. Give that one a view. And moving on to everyone's favorite, things that happen in the junk slab era. And to be fair, this is actually still happening today, but I did notice it back then. This is actually RJ Hampton. He was drafted in that 2020 draft. Take a look at the top left corner there. There's him in his college uniform and Prism Collegiate, I think it was. And then they photoshopped a Nuggets jersey on him. He was drafted by the Nuggets and then used it for who knows how many cards. I think this was maybe even just half of what this image was used for. But yeah, there was another image I found too. I couldn't find the photo that I had saved, but it was another pose of him, another dribbling one where, man, it was used for another 10 cards. I mean, given the amount of releases, you know, I know there's going to be some redundancy, but it just got a little absurd. And some people say maybe that was due to the pandemic or something like that. I'm not sure, but yeah, kind of weak there. So I'm hoping, you know, when Fanatics gets into the game, they're going to go back to some better photography for one, but maybe not use the same photo for 10 different cards, right? That'd be nice. All right, let's jump over to some mail. I've got some pretty cool ones for you today. Now, I did talk about these first two in my last Mail and Hobby Talk episode when I was showing that I was getting some pretty cool pickups for cheaper nowadays. And we do have this 2021-22 Select Courtside green refractor here of Danilo Gallinari. To get this one for around $15, I believe. Pretty awesome pickup there. And next up, we've got a 2020-21 Donruss Gold. And I don't remember the parallel design here, what it was called. I'm going to guess Infinite, probably wrong there. Let me know in the comments if you know what this is called. But yeah, this is another cool one that was around $10 or so. Really like the kind of background parallel design there. And that's of Gallinari when he was on the Thunder. Next up, we've got this JaVale McGee out of 2012-13 Panini. And now they did have just the Panini set back then, was basically just like a base card set. But this one is signed, so it's an in-person signature, and this one's going to be going in a binder that I'm putting together that is all Nuggets in-person autos. Next, we've got the Spectra. This is the NBA 75th anniversary parallel here, as you can see kind of on the side here. There's different versions of this card, but this one has like that NBA 75 logo, which is pretty cool. And a hobby buddy of mine told me these are a little bit more rare. I don't know like the rarity of the print run or anything like that, but I did think they were kind of cool. Wanted to pick one out to check it out. I do think they're nice. I might go after a team set of these. So thank you for the suggestion, the small town cards. And we've got a SP Game Used autograph. Unfortunately, it is a sticker auto, but it's hard to tell when you're just looking at it here. These are at 100. This is from, I don't know, closer to those final years of the license that Upper Deck had. See if we can even focus in on this. So I got this new camera app. Let me see if we can do this. Okay, here we go. So let's see if we can focus in on it. Yeah, there you go. 2009-10 SP Game Used. Pretty cool one there. Yeah, I got this new little camera app called Clean Camera. It's pretty nice. I'm still learning it. But the cool part about it is you can hide all these little buttons, so when you're doing these screen recordings, it doesn't look crazy. Last up, we have got 2017-18. We've got Essentials Platinum. So this is from a set chase. I am down to, I want to say 16 now for this set. This is of Bogdanovich. I believe I'm saying that right. And this is his rookie season. So yeah, that's my mail this week, guys. Thank you for checking out these videos. Much appreciated. If you do enjoy them, please like and subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. And I really appreciate, sharing this video around with your buddies. I do these for fun. It's always fun to just talk about cards. But I do appreciate any comments, any chats that we have. Hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on Blowout. Really just like connecting with the community. That's my main reason for doing these. So thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.